Get Out of Your Own Way by Jovita Jenkins. Chapter 9. Quote, live on the outer edge of your potential, not on the inner edge of your security. Author unknown. Chapter 9. Pulling it all together. If you want to know what is in your way, look in the mirror. Author unknown. We have covered an incredible amount of material in the previous chapters. Part 1 identified the typical roadblocks we face on our journey through life. Part 2 introduced the elements of Jovita's success prescription and provided the rationale for using it to help you get out of your own way. Part 3, which begins with this chapter, deals with practical application of my success prescription. In this chapter, the focus is on pulling the pieces together to make the prescription work for you. A great metaphor for pulling it all together is diagnosing and then curing a disease. In the early chapters, Part 1, we paint a picture of people who are having difficulty because they are getting in their own way, the disease. The reasons for this are numerous, and for the most part, they operate on an unconscious level. The objective was to diagnose the problem, to make the invisible visible. To that end, we expose the social programming that is designed to keep us stuck and going along with the program, whatever that happens to be. The medicine prescribed to help us overcome the disease is Jovita's Success Prescription, Part 2. We uncovered and diagnosed the problem and provided the prescription that could provide relief. The last piece is actually taking the medicine, Part 3. Implementing the elements of the prescription is equated to taking the medicine required to solve the problem. The solutions fall into 3 categories: self, relationships, and prosperity. You must decide for yourself where your main core problem lies. Is it with myself? Are my beliefs and thoughts getting in the way of achieving my goals? Is it with the relationships I'm involved in? Are they good, positive? If not, what am I going to do? Is it with my level of prosperity? Do I need more education to get a better job or change my spending and saving habits? Each of us must decide what is most important given your particular situation. Until you decide, nothing will work. Once you decide where you want to start, your potential for growth is limitless. The questions we ask ourselves determine the priorities we set to heal ourselves. The questions we ask ourselves help us determine where we start, where we need help the most. How do you get out of your own way? How do you know what way to get out of? It's by asking yourself the right questions. There must be a reckoning with ourselves to help us cure the patient, us. If we are committed to making that change, we have to decide what to do about it. We can all identify things we would like to change in our lives. A key stumbling block, though, is that sometimes we have trouble determining where to start or how to establish priorities if there is more than one area requiring our attention. In many cases, this keeps us stuck. Read this chapter with your journal handy. Capture the answers to the questions posed. Also, capture any thoughts that occur to you. The information you glean from reflecting on your thoughts and feelings will be extremely beneficial in helping you implement my Get Out of Your Own Way prescription. Key focus areas. In my experience with coaching clients, there is a recurring theme with the competing priorities each of us face. Where do we start? If you are facing the same dilemma, the following analysis can help you identify a place to start that is relevant to your individual situation. In analyzing our lives, 3 key areas come to mind with respect to getting out of your own way. Self, the relationships we're involved in, and the prosperity or lack thereof in our lives. Which of these areas would provide the greatest benefit to your life if you were to select it as a place to begin? Self, relationships, or prosperity? What did you take away from the previous chapters? What were your greatest ahas in terms of learning about what gets in your way? Consider the following. If we learn that our difficulty is in the way we were acculturated or socialized, and that those belief systems interfere with our ability to get out of our own way, then begin there. If our cure lies in changing ourselves emotionally or spiritually, or in other ways that will foster the healing we need that will enable us to get out of our own way, then that's where we begin. If we determine, based on what we've learned in previous chapters, that our true difficulty lies in the relationships that we have entered into, then we must set relationships as a high priority. We must change those relationships in ways we need to, or form others. Finally, if prosperity, or the lack of it, is where our difficulties lie, then we need to prioritize ways of overcoming that. If our difficulty with prosperity needs to be met by saving more or investing more or spending more wisely, then that should be our goal for getting out of our own way. If our analysis of our state of prosperity suggests that we need to do more sharing, then we need to find ways of contributing more and doing other things that we can do to become whole. Focus questions. The remainder of this chapter provides questions that can help you get focused and clear on your personal strategy for implementing the changes that you need to make to get out of your own way. The goal here is to help you get really clear on your vision, particularly as it pertains to the focus areas identified above: self, relationships, and prosperity. Where are you now? Where do you want to go? The questions posed are designed to help you paint an ideal picture for your life and begin living it today. The goal is to help you focus on what you want. Get really clear. Recall what you focus on expands. So focus on what you want and not what you don't want. Then begin practicing your future. Recall that we each view our lives from the 3 major perspectives of self, relationships, and prosperity. Everything we deal with on a daily basis falls into these 3 categories. Becoming really clear with respect to our aspirations, intentions, choices, and actions in these areas is key to getting out of your own way. Intuitively, the area that resonates most with you after completing the process defined below is the ideal starting place for you. So start by asking yourself the following introspective questions and writing down the answers. Number 1, what are my highest aspirations? Number 2, who do I want to be? Number 3, what do I want to do? And number 4, what do I want to have? Answer the questions first as it relates to you personally, the individual self, and next answer them as it relates to your relationships, both personal and professional, and finally answer them from the perspective of prosperity. Self. Yourself is the primary consideration. or at least it should be. The following questions provide the context in which to picture yourself both today and as you see yourself in the future. What are your highest aspirations in relation to your self-image? Are you physically fit as you would like to be? Mentally, are you getting the amount of stimulation you require? Are you expanding your knowledge base in areas of interest to you? What are the states of your emotional, psychological, and spiritual well-being? Are you satisfied with your career, business, and/or work life? Do you enjoy a peaceful, nurturing, aesthetically pleasing environment? Relationships. Next, your relationships affect how you behave and the results you get based on your interactions with others. The questions in this section provide the context for valuing the quality of your relationships. Do you have loving, respectful, supportive, mutually fulfilling relationship with your spouse or significant other? How about with your children or other family members? Do you have quality relationships at work with your peers, subordinates, and managers? And if not, which relationships would you change? And what ways would you like to change them? Prosperity. Finally, your prosperity depends on numerous factors. In particular, it is a function of how you see yourself within your world, as a player or as a pawn. Yes, circumstances are a factor. However, I truly believe that your view of yourself within your environment can make all the difference. Your self-view affects the relationships you establish and the choices you make. The questions to consider when assessing your well-being with respect to prosperity include: am I satisfied with my level of income, investment, and savings? Where am I spending my money? Is it going to increase my well-being and prosperity, or am I just getting by? What is the level of my debt? Am I contributing to the causes that are important to me? Develop your plan. If you've done the work and answered the questions in this chapter, you now have a clearer picture of where you want to go. You also have a clearer picture of how to get started on your path. Develop your plan using the planning information from Chapter 6. If you implement the steps of Jovita's success prescription now that you have a clearer picture of how to get from where you are to where you want to be, your potential for success is significantly greater. Begin today and never give up.